Hey, what's happening? It's Nick with Lone Star Boot Reviews, and today we're going to be talking about which style of cowboy boots is the most comfortable. So let me just start off by saying that the cowboy boot fitting experience is different for everybody. Everybody's feet are shaped differently. Everybody likes things to fit a certain way, and that differs from person to person. So by no means is this the gospel on how a cowboy boot should fit or how it's going to feel to you. This is just a list of things that I would look at if you're wanting to buy a new pair of boots. So in my opinion, one of the biggest factors that is going to make a boot comfortable or uncomfortable for a person is the heel. There's different styles of heels, they come in different heights, and all that is going to sit right under the arch of your foot, and it's going to make it either comfortable or not. So I have a few boots here that I'd like to show you and give you an example of what I'm talking about. The first one I have, the Chisos number 2. And this boot comes with a 1 5/8 inch heel, very similar to a traditional cowboy walking heel, except those are usually angled a little more here in the back. But for the purpose of this video, it's the same. And you can see, because of the height of that heel, it's got a pretty steep transition here between the heel and the ball of the foot. Now what that means is, if you have a high arch, this is going to give you a lot of support underneath your foot and probably be very comfortable. However, if you have a flat foot, this could be too much and may feel like a hump under the bottom of your foot and can become very uncomfortable. So that's just something to keep in mind. Depending on what type of foot you have, you may either want to look at this or you may want to steer clear. So next I have the Quero Eastwood, and this guy comes with a 1 3/8 inch heel, which doesn't sound like a big difference between the 1 5/8 inch, but when you're wearing it, it can make a huge difference. This height is really more of a Stockman heel. However, this is cut at an angle to make it appear more like a walking heel. But you can see, because of the height of the heel, the transition between the heel and the ball of the foot is not nearly as steep as the last one I showed you. So what that means is, if you don't have much of an arch on your foot, this could be an option for you. It's got a cool look on it that looks more like a traditional cowboy boot, but it's low enough that it's not going to create a big hump underneath your foot and be uncomfortable. It's a good height too to try if you do have an arch to your foot, because it's not super low either. So this is a good middle of the road option that you can look at. I really like the 1 3/8 inch heels. I think they can fit a lot of different people and be very comfortable. So the last boot I have to show you is a Stockman. And again, this is a 1 3/8 inch heel, so everything that I just said about the Quero applies here. The only difference is this one isn't angled. Now, if you try a boot like this or the Quero and it still feels like too much arch, you're probably gonna have to go down to a roper. A true roper usually has a little less height on the heel than even these Stockmans, and they're perfect for people with really flat feet. Now, another big factor, in my opinion, to the comfort of a boot is toe shape. So if you take a look at this boot here, this has got a traditional medium round toe, sometimes referred to as an R toe. Now ideally, if the boot fits right, your toes will not come that far up into the narrow portion of this toe here. However, people can run into an issue with that, especially if you have a narrow foot, because a lot of boot companies aren't making narrow widths, so you end up having to buy a D width, which is medium. And when that happens, you're gonna have to go down in size so that the width fits your foot. And when you go down in size, that's gonna move your toes more forward up into the toe box. Now the next toe shape I have here is the wide square toe. A lot of people don't like the way these look, and I get it. It's not very traditional. It is a very popular selling style nowadays. But what I like about these is the same reason I think that boot companies push them so hard, and it's the fact that you can fit so many different size feet in this boot. And what I mean by that is, since companies aren't making narrow widths much anymore, you can go down a size and a half in these wide square toes and still have room in the toe box in order for the boot to fit you in the width. So if you have a narrow foot and you're having a hard time finding boots that fit, I would recommend trying a wide square toe, just because it is so wide, your toes can go, very high up into the toe box without it becoming uncomfortable. They're also great for people who have really, really wide feet because the width stays the same all the way through. Currently, I think this is my favorite toe style, but honestly, my preferences change all the time. Every time I see a new boot, that's the one I want. I don't know if you guys are like that. If you are, leave me a comment and let me know. Now, the last thing I'd like to talk about is insoles. There's really two types. Your more traditionally made cowboy boot is going to have a hard leather insole that's non-removable. And the advantage of that is over time, that leather is going to mold and make an exact impression of your foot, which most people find very comfortable. The other type of insole is what you're going to find in most of the modern boots these days, and that's a removable foam and gel insole such as this Ariat. Now there's two advantages to this. The first one is it'll wear out over time, but you can remove it and just slide a new one in there and it'll feel like a new boot. The second advantage being that it feels very similar to an athletic shoe. Now I like both types of insoles. I think the hard leather ones are really special, and if you haven't tried one yet, you should. But if I'm going to be doing a lot of walking, I'm probably going to go for the gel and foam removable insole. Just gives me a little more comfort standing on my feet all day long. So those are some examples of different styles of boots and what features about them can affect the comfort level for the person wearing them. But the most important factor on whether a boot is comfortable or not is getting the correct fit. An ill-fitting boot is never going to fit right, and it's not going to be comfortable. A properly fitting boot is going to be comfortable right out of the box, and it's just going to keep getting more comfortable as it molds to your foot. And when it comes to fitting, in my opinion, I believe the width is the most important part. If you end up having to go up a half size or a full size to get the width right, that little extra length on that boot is not going to bother you at all. But if you bought it at the length that you think you are and it's too narrow, then you're asking for discomfort all day long. And the same thing goes the other way. If you need to go down a size, you may need to switch up your toe style a little bit, but you can still go down a size or a half size to make that boot a little bit narrower and fit your foot better. So if you have any more tips like this, please leave me a comment down below. I'm sure we'd all love to hear them. Now, if you like this content and you want to see more videos like this, please subscribe and hit that little bell so you're notified every time I upload a video. Thank you for everybody who's watching this video, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. Take it easy.